Right, let's get into our panel. And that story I brought you just before the break, CSIRO and Australian universities have been discovered to have participated in at least 10 joint projects with the Wuhan Institute of Virology over the past decade. It's another bombshell. Exclusive today, Australians newspapers Sherry Markson revealed CSIRO researchers had previously undertaken research with live bats at the institute, which is also suspected of being at the centre of the COVID-19 outbreak. To discuss this and more, I'm joined by my Friday panel from Sydney, social commentator Prue McSween, and from Brisbane, Director of Communications at the Institute of Public Affairs, Evan Mulholland. Evan, really concerning report. Health Minister Greg Hunt has ordered a review of all of this so-called gain of function research. Got to wonder though, why is it only coming to light now?
These are shocking revelations revealed by Sherry Markson, and they really raise questions over the trustworthiness of institutions like the CSIRO. Now, their code of conduct for their employees states they have to act honestly, ethically, with transparency, and we seem to be getting none of that, especially if they're contributing to this discredited gain of function research, which has now become really discredited worldwide. So I really think Greg Hunt's right to order a review. I think that's a good measure by the government, and yet really raises the trustworthiness of the CSIRO. But also, we've seen so many of particularly our media commentariat, dismiss a lot of the journalism that Sherry has done. But it has been it has been incredible to see what she's uncovered with her journalism, and really beyond par for the rest of the journalist class in terms of how much she's uncovered in regards to her forthcoming book.
Yeah, spot on. And it's not just leading Australia's debate. This is stuff that's leading the world about COVID and the origins of COVID. I'm just surprised when we took on China last year, we wanted, a proper investigation to all of this, Evan, that ministers didn't do an audit of all the programs perhaps in their departments and look to this and expose these sorts of issues last year. I'm surprised it's taken 18 months. I want to get your reaction. Beijing has launched a class action or a legal action at the World Trade Organization against Australia, arguing anti-dumping measures on railway wheels, wind towers and stainless steel. This is a WTO action, not a class action. Trade Minister Dan Tehan confirmed the Morrison government would launch an appeal on China's crippling tariffs on wine and barley. It looks like it's pretty retaliatory, Evan, to me.
This seems like an absolute retaliation. Now, in order to get into the WTO, China had to prove that many of its state-owned operations weren't attached completely to their governing parties. Now, in order to be considered a market economy. Now that they're in, I think that is completely false. Their state organisations are completely state-controlled. So you've got to look at the track record with China in the WTO as well. They've been the complainant about 21 times, but they've been the respondent to complaints about double that, about 44 times. So I don't think Australians can have real trust that they're going to get any outcomes with regard to the WTO. I do think we need to diversify our economy away from China. The UK Free Trade Agreement is a good first step, but I think we need to be going even further. And I do think Dan Tehan's the person to do that, but I just don't think we should be able to. We should be trusting organisations like the WTO to get an outcome.
No, I'm a bit dubious on a lot of those UN organisations. We saw the stuff in relation to the Great Barrier Reef and the games that will be played in July when they meet in Beijing, the World Committee on the Environment. I've got to go to you if I can, Prue. Pauline Hanson, she's labelled Scott Morrison arrogant and a bully. This is in an extended sit-down interview with the Courier Mail. The One Nation leader also identified Peter Dutton, Defence Minister Peter Dutton, as a future Prime Minister. True to form, Pauline Hanson doesn't mince her words. A lot of movement of personnel in Canberra this week. The return of Barnaby Joyce. There'll be more changes to the ministry. What's your reaction to Pauline's comments?
Well, I think that she sort of dropped off the face of the earth for a while, didn't she? So maybe she was suffering from relevance deprivation, because she likes to come out firing and make some headlines, and clearly calling the PM a bully is going to make her some headlines. She needs to substantiate that if that's the case. She's really, I think, lost a lot of support, perhaps a lot of perspective on what really matters now. She used to be the people's politician, but now I think she's, gone off a bit, as I think Barnaby Joyce has. But of course, he is making he's sort of stepping in and making these bold statements that is carving or sort of encroaching on Pauline's area. I think that the only good thing going for One Nation is Mark Latham, of course, and I think she's going to have a hard time at the ballot box.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of jostling too. Barnaby Joyce and Pauline Hanson, they're fishing for the same sort of vote at the next election. So I think we'll see a bit of turf war over the next few months as that settles down. I got to go to a story that sounds ridiculous, talking about bins and local councils, Evan, but it's a huge issue because Victorians are going to get another bin. This is a new purple bin for glass. $130 million will be wasted from the Andrews government, given to local councils to bring in all these changes. But you're going to end up with 4 bins outside your house if you are a Victorian. Now, this is crackers, and this is all about local councils wasting money on the stuff they should be doing well and then spending it on, Extinction Rebellion days or refugee activism, all the stuff that they have absolutely no constitutional relationship with. Goodness me, Evan, can we get this right?
Well, Danielle Andrews is conscripting every single Victorian to become an unpaid rubbish sorter. None of this has worked. As someone who lives in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, we can see a trial run of how this is going to look around the state. Yarra City Council have sped up their process and gone the separate bins. And once every 2 weeks for the actual, when it's not the glass bin, but the recycling bin, the city of Yarra looks like a third world country. There's recycling going onto the street everywhere. There's thousands upon thousands of residents really, really frustrated at this. And this is going to force other councils who have already stated they're going to make rubbish go fortnightly because of these changes. Now, I've got a 1-year-old at home, and if I have nowhere to put nappies, I'll be putting on the council doorstep. This is just completely unpractical by the Andrews government, and it's going to pass on all this regulation to the average Victorian.
Yeah, we need a lot closer look at what goes on in our state and local governments, particularly local government. Got to leave it there. Prue, you stay safe in Sydney. Thank goodness you got Gladys Berejiklian. Evan Mulholland?
Yeah, I'm in isolation. That's why you're getting all this noise. I'm on my balcony. I can't be near my family. Sorry.
Oh, well, we're thinking of you, Prue. We're thinking of you. All the very best.
Peter.
Speak to you next week. Evan, thank you as always for your time.
Thanks, Peter.